Further river rises are possible in the New South Wales town of Menindee as floods approach record levels. The State Emergency Service says the Darling River is currently around 10.2 metres, so it hasn't quite reached levels predicted. The Bureau of Meteorology predicts levels may reach 10.7 metres, which would be above the 1976 record of 10.47. Further river rises are possible and the water is expected to remain high for the next fortnight. Part of the flooding is due to a 75,000 megalitre per day release by Water New South Wales from Lake Wetherill upstream. The New South Wales SES says the flooding presents challenges both in terms of its scale and duration. And joining me live is David Rankine, Media Officer at the New South Wales SES. Thank you so much for your time, David. How are you this afternoon and Happy New Year?
Happy New Year to you too. And yeah, it's a nice 42-degree day out here, so we're struggling through a pretty sweltering day.
Yes, beautiful Broken Hill, but a hot start to the year. Not so great, which you've been monitoring the Menindee region. We're yet to reach the peak, as we just mentioned, of that 10.7 metre level. What preparations are in place for this?
Look, we've certainly done a lot of work in the Menindee community over the last few weeks leading up to the proposed 10.7 metre peak, which was due yesterday. Thankfully, with all this water coming through the Menindee, through Lake Wetherill and the Menindee main weir, the flooding this morning's only really sort of stayed at around 10.2 metres, which is a good 50 centimetres below the peak. We're still preparing for that 10.7 metre peak, which is quite a significant level above the previous flood of record, as you noted in the intro. 10.46 metres has been the previous record. So there's certainly, we've got 20 or 30 odd volunteers out here in Menindee today, over the weekend and through the festive period. We've been door knocking all of the affected properties. There has been a significant amount of sandbagging taking place for those affected properties, and also reparations to weirs and topping up of weirs and what have you, to make sure that the community is best prepared for the anticipated peak.
Evacuation orders remain in place. How long do you anticipate the evacuation orders to be around?
Yeah, look, certainly the evacuation order was put in on Friday. The main reason for that was there are about 31 properties that we identified as potentially being affected by floodwater, where overflow inundation may be the case. Some of those have already started to occur. We're obviously, again, as I said, planning for the forecast 10.7 metre peak, which will see a number of other people requiring evacuation. Some already have and are seeking accommodation. We've provided accommodation in Menindee for them, and a number of people have decided to stay in place. They are prepared and able to look through or work through the next couple of weeks, where we anticipate this peak will probably be in Menindee for the best part of a fortnight at least yet.
And David, the SES, along with other emergency services, have been managing the flooding here for many months now. How have people been coping with some long and some short-term isolations?
Yeah, look, as an organisation in Western New South Wales here, we've been managing flooding since the beginning of November last year. So right through the Bowen-Darling system and all its catchments leading into this system, there's been a significant amount of flooding. Many of the communities out here in Western New South Wales and community members are very resilient, but we have been doing large amounts of resupply by helicopter and by boat for those property owners, particularly pastoralists and graziers, who have been, in some cases, isolated for 3 and 4 months at a time. So that has been a very long haul. It's a big slog. Thankfully, most of that water is now in the lower parts in the mid parts of the Darling River. There is only one river for now for us to manage, rather than the 20 odd we had earlier this year. But still, we'll be doing a lot of work right the way through, probably till Easter, till we see the worst of this flooding move its way down into the Murray River and out to sea.
And what message would you give to the locals in Menindee?
Look, certainly we want to thank them for their patience and their support of our volunteers. We've got a large number of volunteers, as I said, in the community at the moment, giving up their time away from family during the festive season. So we want to thank them firstly for welcoming us into the community to give them some assistance. We also want to let them know that we are here to support them right the way through this event. If they are choosing to stay in place and are isolated, we can provide resupply for them. And we're also asking them to make some very safe decisions, on the road. It's a time where we see a lot of tourists on the road, and we have seen, leading into the last few months, a lot of flood rescues, and we want to make sure that this period of time, that there are no people making bad decisions on what are a large number of closed roads out in this area and requiring rescue by our SES volunteers, who really need to devote their time to the Menindee community itself and not be distracted by other activities such as flood rescues.
Well, we wish you and the team all the very best. David Rankine, Media Officer at New South Wales SES. Talk to you again soon.
Thanks very much. Thanks for your support.